Welcome to the Listening Show, a show you can listen to. Today's hosts are Walterific. Play the boost. No, you got it wrong. Play the boost sound effect. You'll find it. That's close enough. Go back to. I'm joined today by Zach. Pick your noise. Today we have a very special episode. Today is before the 40th episode. You got me on that one. Today's topic is a mystery, people. We have no idea what's going to happen today. Crazy things could happen. This episode could go in history as completely forgotten, or it could change the world. We will both have to sit down and find out together today. Join us, won't you, in the Listening Show.
I was so excited. Join us now, the Listening Show. Like my brother.
Oh yeah, I meant to do that. I was thinking I'll save that bit for next time. I don't want to spoil it, but next time whatever.
So I played Dungeons and Dragons.
Why would you change a topic like that to something that I didn't ask about?
I don't know. I guess that was pretty selfish of me. It's your show. We can talk about that another time if you want.
Obviously, I'm kidding. That's obviously on your mind.
Yeah, was it something to talk about?
Was it special or was it?
Yeah.
Why was it special?
I'd never played D&D before, and I didn't really know exactly.
I was
knew
wondering
generally what to expect. Have you played before?
No, I haven't. Did you play with your family?
No, with friends.
Oh, okay, that's acceptable then.
Yeah.
So that was today?
No, it was like last week. I was actually going to talk about it last podcast, and I forgot. And then I was like, oh, I wanted to talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, quickly tell me your experience about it.
Okay. So it was basically almost exactly what I expected. Let me turn this off. It was basically almost exactly what I expected. I got to be... Now, the one thing I was sad about is... And I get why we did it this way, but because I had never done it and there were several people there who had never done it before, the game master prepared people for us. And so he named them and gave them their backstories and gave them their stats and whatever and allocated all their information and stuff. And so it wasn't our characters. And really quickly, the first thing I realized is if I do this again, I want to make my own character. But I got to be a mage. Right? I wanted to be a mage too, which was good. And so I was like, nice. And then I basically, it was fun. It took a long time because how it kind of works is Dungeons and Dragons for people who've never played before. It's essentially the mixture between a story and a board game and then an RPG too. It's a bunch of weird things rolled into one. But basically, the game master, there's one person who sort of attends, who sort of prepares.
Narrates?
It's essentially narrating, but you also are the game, you kind of control things from the outside. And so you're weaving the story for people. A lot of game masters will write their own ahead of time. Uh-huh. And then they'll come up with their own circumstances.
And then another girl with even huge badonkers comes in. That's my beginning of my story.
Even bigger than Hanukkah hoogs. Serious. Gangas.
I have one question that I wanted to ask right away, which was how long did the game go? Because it has to be long in order for you to have any fun because it takes a long time to play. That's all I know.
It was long. It was probably
3 hours?
It was probably 6 hours.
Good. Well, that sounds like a solid session.
And that was probably a quarter of what it could have been.
Right. I'm sure I could go for 20 hours easily.
You could go, days. You could go a week if you wanted.
So the question, I have another question. Did you enjoy it or not?
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts about it. Now, I in order to give you my thoughts about it, I kind of have to describe what happened.
So let's start with hour one.
All right, so the first part of it, and here's where it was a little frustrating. Everything took forever. Yeah. And that wouldn't have happened if people were confident and everyone knew what they were doing. And so I picked up on it pretty quick and I kind of got the gist and I wanted to move along the story and I wanted to move along into the parts where it was interactive and we got to fight, we got to campaign, we got to battle strategize and things like that. It's real. That's my favorite part about it for sure is you come up with a grid And then you get to draw your terrain essentially. And the game master does this because it's important to the story. And so you could, like, for instance, at one point we drew a forest and then we draw out where the trees were and everything. And it was important because you get little figurines and your figurine represents your character and it takes up so much space. The squares are a certain unit of feet away. And then you basically use logic rules, which is really cool. So like in fights, but essentially what you do is you set up your terrain and you set up your formation. And the game master will do these things called checks where he'll talk about like luck check or vision check. And what you do when he does that, when he says, give me a such and such check. And that is to determine what will happen in the scene going forward. Like for instance, he'll say, how is your campaign? How is your formation? All of you people together, there were 6 of us. So we set up ourselves where we'd be walking in this forest. And then he would go to the person in the front of the line and he would say, give me a vision check. And then that person rolls a 20-sided die and maybe they roll a 16. And then there's other things that affect that, like your character stats help your 20-side die rolls and whatever. And then if you roll like a 16, to 20 or something, then that's really good vision. But if you roll like a 1 to 5, that's really poor vision. And depending on what you roll, the story will be a little different. Maybe if you roll high for vision, you'll see something moving in the forest and then you'll know to get in battle formations. Otherwise you'll say, and then you move onward. That's because you didn't see anything. Or he'll do luck check or something and maybe people will pass by you or something, or, there's various, or dexterity checks. Sometimes when it's your turn to move, this was what was interesting is I'd be like, can I jump over this log? And this normally in the game, you would just go, I'm going to try to jump over this log. And then he'd say, do a dexterity check. And then you roll and see if you trip over the log or not and lose your turn. Or if there's stuff like that. And it was like, and it makes sense. And like they have rules, but they're also a little flexible. So the game master can be a little forgiving if he wants or she wants. There was one time where I was taking advantage of how flexible things were. And I was sort of making a game of it. And I was doing this battle. And I had rolled what I needed to kill the bad guy. And so the game master says, all right, tell us how you killed the bad guy. And it's like the fun part. You get to come up with how you do it. And I was a wizard who had a fireball thing. And normally I just throw the fireball. And I said, well, normally I just throw the fireball. But this time I billowed it up in my hands and then I put it in my mouth and breathed fire on him. And then he said, all right, roll for damage because that would burn your mouth and stuff like that. Like they'll keep you in check if you're not taking it seriously enough. Like, oh, and then I got like 2 damage or whatever because I burned my mouth, stuff like that. And that made it fun and interesting too. So my overall assessment was the fights were awesome. The story will change depending on who does it because there could be in 1,000 different stories or whatever. I think I know I would have liked the story to go faster. I liked the potential it had. And I could tell that he worked on it for a while. But I think that the fun and interesting part is the stuff where everybody gets involved, not necessarily the sitting and waiting for the time to fight. Mm-hmm. Or even the time to, because I don't even think that it's all just fights where you get involved. There's things that you can do where say like one person has really good intuition, maybe that it's time to game plan and huddle together and like you talk about where you're going to go because you also have authority on maybe you can go to this village and talk or maybe you go to this village and talk or things like that. Anyway, it was really awesome and interesting, and I can see how if you had a group of 4 to 10 of like really good friends who like had a Saturday and there was drinks and snacks and stuff. And everyone, I could just see how fun that would be. It has limitless potential for fun.
I don't mean this as an insult, but I can imagine that being really fun if I was like 14 years old and playing with the kids in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like but even like as a 26-year-old adult, I was fully having a good time. Now I wasn't fully immersed yet because I was still learning how to do it, and the game just took a long time for me. Yes, I think at some point the longevity of it became sort of a chore and you were like, oh man, we got to get this over with. But I think that was because of how the game was being managed and how slow everybody was. Like people were kind of everywhere. And
I wonder what the Guinness World Record, maybe not the Guinness World Record, what the record is for the longest game of D&D.
It's still going.
Yeah, I
You
bet,
can
I
go
bet.
forever.
Well,
yeah.
completed. Longest game that's not currently in session. I wonder what that is. I bet it's days. I mean, maybe like over a year, maybe years. I don't know. I wonder.
I have friends who they had a game that went all through high school with their high school friends. And so like because how it works is the more you play, your characters can level up and and the game master just gets to decide when they level up or when they get new abilities. And then the game master is also in control of what villains you can encounter too. And so like based on your level, the villains will get harder. And basically the game master they're basically playing God, which is really cool. I think it'd be fun to be the game master because essentially you want the challenge to be very challenging, but you don't want everyone to die because then the game is over. And once I'm sure that once like the levels are super high and everyone has all these abilities, you can throw freaking balrogs at people and just say go. And like the way we were playing, we were really struggling against some like simple bandits kind of thing. But we were also like, figuring out how to play and stuff. And it was like, I could see how after some time you get some abilities and then these guys, you just wipe them out really quick and then keep going. And that it'd be fun that way too, because then it'd just go fast. But yeah, it was really cool and interesting. It was such a great idea for a game. I think if people could find a way to like imagine an online world where you buy a Dungeons and Dragons account, they give you so many like not XP, maybe that's what you'd call it, but like ability points. And then they give you, 100 categories and you fill out your character. And this is your character permanently. And you get to insert this character into whatever adventure you want with whoever you want or a random group of people. How fun that would be. And then essentially you just have to organize with your group when you all were going to participate. Or maybe you could have, delayed turns or something where you check in every time you get a chance and there's no time limit or whatever. But it was so interesting. The only problem with the online one is you'd have to have dedicated like workers like coming up with the challenges for people, which is like a lot of work. It's as much work as is play for everybody else. So that's an impossible task.
That's why it doesn't exist.
Yeah, you're right.
I figured it out. You're welcome.
But even like if they set up the formatting and then you still had to designate a game master, like it wasn't automatically generated.
It's possible. It's just not very practical because everybody has to be constantly there communicating with each other. And then there's too many variables, like imagining abilities to where a game can't really accommodate it. I think that's why it doesn't exist.
It is a very complicated
It's
game.
limitless. You couldn't possibly program that.
Yeah. And it is complicated.
Yeah.
It is really complicated. So I totally get it. Eventually there were multiple moments where we would come up with like arbitrary things. This was an interesting little thing that happened, but like one of our guys has the ability to conjure up an image. I got to distract if you want to, or to draw attention somewhere else, whatever. And so we were trying to think. We were fighting goblins at this part. We only had like 2 battles, and one we fought these like bandits on the way to this cave, and then we got to the cave, and that was my favorite part. We got to the cave, and then I got to use my mage ability to light the room up. And so we had better visibility, and then I had my range weapon, and there was a catapult that was shooting at us. We beat that because we got our dwarf who like went over. Anyway, we like did all this good planning and stuff. Well, and then there was this one part where you get to come up with the image of what you want to show here. And we were like, we got to have something big and bright and distracting. And so we said, can we make the Balrogs?
So I said, huge Mahatma.
Yeah. Boobs.
I was totally expecting you to do that. That's a thing. I'm going to interrupt your story really quick. So in a game like Team Fortress 2, which is modded endlessly, on maps, people will put like a poster of like anime tits on a hallway, like in a corridor. So some players will actually stop in the middle of like a vulnerable area to look at the post. It's so funny. I love that so much. Anyway,
you can do that.
Continue.
Well, and we knew that the goblins aren't, generally known to be very smart. And so we're like, we'll just get something goblins are scared of. We thought Balrog. And so our game master said, you can make the Balrog. And so we made the Balrog sort of away from where our people were so they'd stop shooting at that. Well, and what was interesting is like he was being as fair as possible. And he said the goblins got distracted by the Balrog, and when it was their turn to attack, they shot the Balrog. But after they shot the Balrog, they realized it flickered right through, and they didn't care. So we got one free turn of damagelessness. But what was cool is my ability was fire breathing ability. And so what I did is I said, I'm going to burn my fire along this path in front of the Balrog and hit these 3 people at once. And then also maybe to see, just to see what happens. So I did my fire ability. And then the game master said, the fire has reaffirmed the goblins' notion that the Balrog is real. And so they shoot at the Balrog again. It was like, I saved us 2 hit points. And everyone's like, yeah. And so it was like, it was just like cool to see that there was intellectual consistency, throughout, including like when I conjured a fireball in my mouth. Like he was like, no, you can't do that. You're going to burn your tongue. Anyway, it was cool. I liked it. I'd be interested to do it again, especially with a group of my friends that we got to all spend. Like maybe there's a weekend party or something. We spend the first day building our characters together, and then we get someone. Maybe I'm the game.
I think
master.
that's pretty normal. They will have it however often they'll like a weekend day. They'll have it for a set period of time, and they'll do it again and continue the story like every once a week or something like that.
Yeah, and what's cool is that you could whoever the game master is could go online, and people have made hundreds of games that you can play. Like from
You could just,
and maybe it's a week worth of games or whatever that like they've got, and then you can just modify it slightly to fit your story or whatever. That's totally possible. I'd be interested to try it sometime. It's a lot of work, but I could totally I could see the potential, and the potential is infinitely fun.
Yeah, but again, I feel like I would be way more excited about it if I was a kid.
Yeah.
And had like summertime with friends and nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And more time and imagination firing off and friends to hang out with. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, which is kind of the point originally. Like it was, I think it started in the 80s, and that's what kids did. Is they just play Dungeons and Dragons after school, and then they'd spend hours a night on their campaign, and then their parents would get them in trouble because they wouldn't go to bed. And then they'd have to be stuck there. I rolled a 20. Don't remember. I rolled a 20. Whatever. There is, yeah.
I like the idea that it's an imagination game.
Yes. It's like, it's a perfect mix of imagination, and it equips you to believe it better, kind of thing. I think the only detriment is that one person does have to be the game master. Basically, it's like that person gets to be involved, but only on the outside. They don't get to.
Yeah.
Maybe it's possible that, I'm sure it's totally possible that a game master can also play, but they have to play as though they don't know what's going to happen.
Playing a different role,
right? And they have to pretend like they don't. Maybe they can play, and they can participate, but they can only act in maybe like a support role, because there were support characters whose main abilities had things to do with healing and protecting, and that was really cool too. It's a lot, that you strategize about who we're gonna have a tank go up there and take all the hits, and then we're gonna support. It was basically like old fashioned League of Legends or whatever. Anyway, I liked it. It was something to talk about.
Good. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening to the listening show. How long was that? That was a while.
Yeah. The campaign was longer.
Yeah, we have 5 hours and 40 more minutes to go. You gotta recount the whole world, the
whole
game.
thing.
Yeah.
Then I had to pee, and then I skipped dinner. At one point, I left because I wanted to get a Subway sandwich, and I got there a minute after Subway closed. And I was so hungry. That was the other part. I was like having fun, but I was like so hungry. I was like, oh. And I'm hungry now.
Same.
I told you, but I've not been doing sugar in a long time. No sugar. Very minimal, I'm sure. I probably had something with sugar in it and not realized it, and I don't miss it. However, I have the most strong craving I've ever had in my life, and it's for the chocolate smiley face pancake from IHOP. And I'm like a little bit thinking in my head, like, why would I have that if I haven't had sugar in a long time? But the other part is, it's also that this is the only sugar craving I've had in months. Maybe I should go eat this thing that's really sugary and really bad for me, because the craving is really strong. And then if I eat it and it's anything less than what I'm imagining it would be right now, then just be done with sugar, because there's never going to be a craving this strong again. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to probably do that after
Sounds like
this.
fun. Luckily for you, two things. IHOP does not close.
Right.
And there's an IHOP between here and your house.
Yeah. I'm going to see if a girl won't go with me.
Oh.
Carry this for a second. I'm going to text somebody.
I don't have any tunes. I wish I did. And I'm not going to go doodle do 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 do. Carrie. Okay.
Good job.
I was getting ready. I was getting ready to carry.
Carrie.
Anyway. Well.
What was going on with your day?
What was going on with my day? Nothing. Clean the house. Nothing.
Yeah.
I'm boring doing it.
What do you clean the house for?
Because I clean it. I clean it every week.
Yeah.
I like when my house is clean, then I can have more fun doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I clean it.
That's the only reason you cleaned it?
Yep.
Okay.
Why? Why else would I clean my house?
I don't know. I didn't know if anything was going on with your house or whatever.
Your face.
If not, it's okay.
Nothing is going on with my house, and it's okay. Okay.
Okay. I was just saying, in case there was, but there's not.
For the listeners, we're like subliminally like opening our eyes wide while we talk, like we're trying to signal like it's a dumb joke. That's essentially the visual version of "if you know what I mean," and I say that when I mean exactly what I mean. Like I am going to drink some water, if you know what I mean, and they're like,
I do.
That's exactly what I mean. Anyway, why do you clean your house?
Just because I like it.
Exactly.
I didn't. I was just.
I know. I'm just turning it around.
That's okay.
I took the turns and I turned them into tables.
I recently, you helped me, but you helped clean my basement, and I have a lot of cleaning to do from that.
You have a lot more to do from that, you mean?
Yeah, I need to finish laundry. There was my basement had basically like lumps of laundry that were just sitting there from when my roommate lived there.
Laundry lumps. I saw them.
Like a bunch of blankets and old stuff that his dog used to lay on. And he was like, I don't even want those blankets anymore. And I was thinking, I'll clean those up eventually, but I do not want to. And it's the basement that I never go in. So, but anyway, you helped me clean it. And now I have to go through those. And I haven't done it yet because I've been out at my parents' farm this whole weekend.
Whole weekend? You mean?
Yeah.
Wait. So today's. Were you there yesterday?
Yep.
Oh, right. Well, today's Saturday, by the way. Well, the basement is cleaner for sure, but it's going to be even more cleaner. I'm going to sweep the floor and stuff, and it'll get cleaner, and you'll pick up some stuff. And anyway, wow, that's the highlight of our week, huh? Cleaning your basement.
Cleaning my basement.
Wow. What was the highlight of your week? What was the highlight of my week? Every once in a while, I like to ask myself, I say take inventory, which just means time for self-reflection. And typically it's to see, well, in this case, it's what am I glad for? What good thing happened that I can be happy about, and just carry that for a minute and go on. So what are you thankful for this week? As in the past 7 days. We're not thankful for much. It's a hard life, and
I just don't focus on the things I'm thankful for, which is a real shame. I'm feeling convicted.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I understand taking it that way, but I mean, like, what was a simple thing? Oh man, what was a simple thing?
I'm more thinking about how ungrateful my dumb ass is. I'm thinking about, like, man, I never think about how the things that I should be thankful for.
I'm grateful that I realized that I should be more grateful.
Wow.
No, yeah.
You're so good. I'm very grateful that my boss came to me on Friday at about 3 after I came back from lunch, and she said, if you want to just go home, I'll clock you out at 5.
That's awesome.
It was so nice of her.
That's
and
awesome.
I stayed for another half hour or something, but then I left and I went to the party early at my parents' house.
Nice.
It was very nice
That's
of her.
awesome. See, that's a great example. It's nothing crazy. It's just like something awesome that you're like, yeah.
Yeah. She's like, you deserve it. And I'm thinking, my ungrateful self is like,
I do.
I deserve a lot more, but that's so mean.
You're
I'm
not
very
wrong.
happy about that. It was nice of her, and it was very nice, and it was nice. So that's
Shoot.
one thing.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
It's your turn.
It is, and I'm annoyed now that I haven't thought of anything. I'm certain something like that has happened.
What was a struggle that was easier than you thought it would be? That's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking work was a struggle that was easier than it could have
Yeah,
been.
this
That's
down feels to be sufficient, but like cleaning the house, it wasn't easier than I thought it would be. It was just as difficult as I thought it would be. But I was just like I thought, super happy when it was clean. I was like, I'm gonna sit down now, just like I did before, but now the house is clean.
Yeah.
Oh, small. I went out on a motorcycle for a little bit, and the clouds, it looked like a painted sky today. It looked like a painting. It was awesome. And it was just nice weather. Haven't had nice weather in like a week. It's been raining every day, but it was really nice today. And I enjoyed that for like 30 minutes, and it was awesome. Might have been the highlight of my week.
Really?
That or playing Halo Wars 2 again, but like I was just super happy today.
Did you? How was your dinner last night?
I had dinner last night.
Yeah.
You asked me, and I said, fine, I think.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that? Your
No.
dinner? No.
No.
Okay.
It was all right. The dinner was all right. The dinner was all right, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it vague on purpose. I think it's funny.
I'm asking, I've asked, if you guys can't tell, I've asked you like 4 different vague questions prompting you to, if you want to talk, but knowing that you might not want to talk about it and everything.
I'll talk about something kind of meta.
Okay.
I have this very strange, because I can't explain it in any, I have this strange desire to not be seen. You know that about me, but these details and stories that I'm omitting and choosing not to talk about, there's no reason not to. I for some reason am just infatuated. That's not the right word, with the idea of
Yeah, I
sucking
know.
into myself,
Yeah.
major privacy, not existing.
Yeah.
But why? I don't know.
It's just you're romanticizing that. And I know that's what it is. I know you could talk about it. I just don't.
but
it's not a big enough deal to me to prod you to either. I just would rather you do what you want and what make you happy.
Yeah.
In this case,
Well,
it's just a not.
in this case, you're being a butt.
No, it's just to not talk about it. You don't have to. I mean,
Well, on that note, I wish I could just, what was it specifically? Yeah, I think it'd be awesome. This is like super fantasy. If I could just like have a fake face when I go out. So like I literally, you're just like, wait, you're cringing over there. So that as far as anybody knows, I don't exist. They never see me. I think it'd be awesome.
yeah.
For that reason, I just wish I could turn invisible too. I wish I could do that. I'd be invisible all the time. That's probably a better way to say it. It's not about looking like somebody else. It's like pretending I don't exist.
Yeah.
That idea, like if there was a way where I could live off the grid completely independently somehow, where I don't need access to food or the internet or something, I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's a fantasy that I mean. Like, why? I don't know. I would think some people can understand that, but whatever. It's something about me.
Yeah. You know how when people how when a girl's talking and you like they say things that it's like really cringy because you're like, that's really unrealistic. That's the cringe that you saw from me. Because like a girl's like, I just want a good guy, but I want him to be bad. Like
I get it.
Like it's like okay,
that's
what do you like? That's not.
That is an eye rolling. That is unrealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is unrealistic. That's why it's a fantasy.
Right. But
at least I'm not.
Yeah. At one point, you said something like, I don't know if I'm going to out you. You said something like, I wish that I could make lots of money like a famous person, but have nobody know me or something like that. I was like, they kind of come with each other, you know, and kind of in tandem.
That's true, but to
not about money necessarily.
Well,
but,
to argue against it to a point, if again, this is a fantasy. If I could act, for example, or make a lot of money, but I always in my roles always wore like prosthetics or a mask or something, and I got good work, but nobody connected my name or my face to it. But I'm an established actor who plays these whatever roles, but no one knows who I am, so I can. I don't know.
That's what I'm cringing at. That's so funny.
Well, Well, there are bigger things I guess I could be cringed at for, and I understand. I can't even like say what like I get it. It's stupid. I know it's stupid.
No, I'm just taking it too seriously. You're not even taking it as seriously as me. That's why it's okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. I think it's funny, but
Okay. Do you have a dumb fantasy that you're just?
yeah. Well, like I don't know that any of my fantasies I like pick out the good things about. I guess maybe about like marriage. Maybe that's one example I do.
A dumb one? That's what I'm asking about.
Yeah. Well, what I consider dumb is if it's if it conflicts with its own self and what it is. Like an actor, what it is everyone knows what you are and who you are, and that's why you're an actor. So it's like
I know it's oxymoronic.
for you to
It's
exactly
dumb.
for you to be like, I just want to be an actor, a famous, established
famous
actor,
person
when
that
nobody
nobody
knows
knows.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it's stupid. The same way a girl says, I just want a good boy who's a bad boy and who does bad things, but he's good.
Is this
Like that's annoying.
Is
too.
this a dumb fantasy of yours? You can correct me. I think I'm close. If you found a like this perfect girl in a foreign country who she doesn't speak English, but you know her language, and so you have to endear her to your culture. Does that sound vaguely
You're on
familiar?
the kind of the right line.
Yeah.
I'm sure
It's
I have
a dumb fantasy.
I have some sort of I'm not without self-conflicting, desires for sure. I just can't. I try to recall all the bad that comes along with everything that I want, and so then it lessens the want for me. That happens a lot with like exes. Like with my exes, when I think about whenever I've gotten to the point where I'm like, man, I miss them so much and I want this, then I have to remind myself, oh yeah, these were bad things, and it's not all that good stuff and that stuff that makes me feel good or whatever. So that's an example of I know I have fantasies that conflict with them and what they are. It tends to be with people. Like people are kind of that way too. The only example I had come up with was talking about how like I want a wife who's this way, but she's also this way. And it's like it's
I want a wife who's nice, but also a bad boy.
yeah. I want a wife who's a good boy, but also a bad boy. That's like the Bo Burnham song. We were singing that the other day. She wants a good boy, a bad boy, a good bad boy, a half good, half bad, half boy. That was funny. He's talking about that whole song is about lower your expectations. Mm-hmm. I love it. You want a guy that's sweet, a guy that's nice, a guy who likes your friends but doesn't want to fuck them or whatever. I don't remember. It's so bad. Anyway. Yeah. People are sort of that way anyway, like sort of self-conflicting. That's the whole point about like the Jungian shadow, integrating with your shadow. The whole point of that is to acknowledge like you are substantively this thing. That's what you are. But then there's this other half of you that is you too, but it's like completely different from you. And if you can find a way to make those converge and become one thing, then you won't be self-conflicting anymore. And that's like my whole goal. Is to not hold any views that aren't consistent throughout. And I have one or two things that I know and I can see those things conflict, but I don't know exactly how to make them do this yet. Maybe I do, and I just am too lazy to do them. But do you have any thoughts of the Jungian shadow?
No.
You don't?
No.
Do you have any thoughts at all?
No, I don't have any. I don't have any. None have given me their numbers.
Really good work.
Good work. Good work. That's not true. I was just making a joke. We say to fill the air. Great.
Okay, I thought about space again when I was on my way here, because recently, China launched a rocket into the air. Did I tell you about this?
God damn it!
Did I tell you about this?
No.
China launched a rocket into the air, and whatever thing it launched up with, that it like allow us to separate and then fall back to Earth safely. That thing apparently stuck to the rocket way longer than it should have. And so it went into orbit along with it, but then it released. And so it went into orbit and it was going super duper fast, but it was slowly descending towards the Earth. For reference, it was going so fast that it made a full revolution around the Earth in 18 minutes from space. And it was descending to Earth really fast. And people were basically like, they basically announced to the world, yeah, sorry, but that's like 300-foot structure and it's coming towards the Earth. So if you're from this range to this range, we don't know when it's going to hit the atmosphere, but a lot of it's going to break up, but not all of it. And, you know, I hope it doesn't kill you and your family and your cat. And everyone was kind of on edge because it was like, gosh, dang it, China again. But anyway, it fell
these
into
darn Chinese products always breaking.
Yeah.
Now, where did it fall?
It fell in the Indian Ocean.
Oh.
They said basically it could have fallen
Fell right
anywhere.
on a guy on a boat in the Indian Ocean, out in the middle of the ocean.
Well, there was like a range from like South Canada to like north, like more south of Mexico. There was like a big range, and it could have been anywhere around the Earth because it was spinning so fast, kind of thing. And I thought that was interesting. I'm like, man, someone needs to tell them to stop.
Hey.
Stop. I heard they're making black holes too. Knock it off. Stop. You're going to kill us.
Hey,
you already tried with coronavirus.
We have a black hole descending toward the Earth, and it's going to land somewhere between Canada and Mexico. Sorry if it kills you, your family, and your kids, and your cat.
It goes 18 minutes around the Earth. We have a black hole.
It falls when it impacts. It makes it goes.
I swear. Is it just me, or is the stigma about that country that they just do whatever they want and nobody can tell them no because they have a billion people there or whatever?
I guess that sounds like it makes sense. I don't know that though.
Yeah.
Who tells any country what to do? I guess ones that are small and can be invaded and controlled, but no one does that to. When you hear about things like that, it's never, America went in and liberated China. You know, it's never it's never big. It's always smaller countries.
Well, I wouldn't think they would.
I don't know.
Even want to.
Maybe the size thing you were saying is part of it.
But like they're being dumb, right? Like that's dumb to make a black hole, I think.
Well, there's a lot of dumb things in that. If you think of it that way, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, but that means like I guess weapons of mass, like nukes, are dumb. Too.
Yeah,
like
they are dumb.
The odds are they're going to do more harm than good. Like like almost 100% that they're not going to help.
Yeah.
So, there are nuclear reactors, but that's not the same. Like nuclear bombs that they're designed. Whatever.
The whole like thing about it is like, well, the equivalent about making nuclear bombs is like, hey, did you know we could light this house on fire? And it could be safe. Yeah, it could be safe, but also the house would be on fire. Like maybe you don't want fire in the house. Maybe you can just keep it out of the house. Like, yeah, but we could put one in the house safely. It also could be not safe.
Put what in the house?
Fire. You could light a fire in the house.
Oh, okay.
It's like if you get like a bonfire or whatever, like check this out. We can safely light a bonfire in the living room. It's going to get a little bit of smoke and that's going to be dangerous for us. But then we could just open a window. In this case, a window is like, you know, peace treaties with other countries. And if the windows ever stop working and the smoke gets too thick,
it's all about control.
Yeah. It's like kind of dumb. It's like where there's smoke. Anyway.
Speaking of houses, I had a big brain moment as a kid. So it wasn't a very big brain. But as a kid, I realized, hey, all houses are tree houses.
Hey.
Because they're all made from trees.
Wow.
That's awesome. I live in a tree house. I don't know how young I was, but that was awesome. I figured out.
All wood houses are made of trees, but there's a lot of concrete.
Way to ruin it. See, I told you it wasn't that big of a brain moment.
It's huge brain, dude. Back then, there was only wood houses. There wasn't like sand huts and other countries.
World Trade Centers were made of wood. Gas doesn't melt wood. No, sorry. Jet fuel doesn't melt wood.
That's so bad.
It's so dumb.
That's how come they went down.
That's how come. Why that?
Oh man.
Dude, okay, slightly unrelated, but also kind of related. Imagine a building as big as World Trade Center made out of wood, like just a tall rectangular, like,
Wow.
that'd be insane. Actually, I don't think it'd be possible. I don't think it's strong enough. The fact that buildings that tall exist is crazy.
Yeah.
And they just they stand up. They do move,
Yeah, they do.
but when you're inside, it doesn't feel that bad. I don't know. It's so crazy. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it's one of those things when for a moment you take it for granted, and for a moment you realize just how weird it is that like you're alive, or that those ants are walking in a line. Sometimes it just hits you. Whoa! Just now it's kind of hitting me again. How they're skyscrapers, just like what the heck?
Yeah.
How do they work? Why and how would you build that?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's a lot of real estate up there. That'd be a reason to build up. Otherwise, isn't it just safer to build along the ground?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I got to go. You've been to Chicago, right?
Nope, I have not, but I know you have.
Yeah, you know this story, but I went. I don't remember what the name of it is now, but it used to be Willis Tower. But it's got a different name now, I think. But I went to the top of that, and I got to go in their skyboxes, and that's really tall. That is up there, and it was freaky. I remember being in the elevator and feeling off balance, and not because I was in an elevator, but because it literally the wind can move those buildings. Mm-hmm. It's very subtle, but it's just enough. It's kind of like being on a boat. You know how like you just feel just like you can stand, but it's just a little boat's a little more severe. But the fact that it's so high up too really makes it. Anyway, so we went in the skybox, and I had told myself, I know I'm afraid of heights, but I'm going to try to do a handstand in there in the skybox.
Which so everybody knows, it's just a glass box room.
Yeah,
that's suspended on the outside of the building. So, with the exception of one wall, just sky and glass around you.
Yeah, right? and there's basically it's like it juts out of the room, and then there's glass as the floor too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's why I said all sides except one.
Yes,
in glass.
I got out there and I looked at the skyboxes and I froze. Like as soon as the elevators opened up, I didn't go out of the elevators, and because I knew I had to go there. Mm-hmm. They're like, "Come on, just go!" And my friends, I had a few of my friends there, and finally I got to the boxes and I realized I'm not going to be able to do this. It's too scary. And I was like, I felt my legs pushing me away, even though I was like pushing my torso forward. And then they went in there, and they ended up pulling me in, and I was so glad they did, because once I was in there, I was like, okay, it's just floor. But then I looked down, I was like, and then I did the handstand, and I was so freaked out. That was freaky. And a week later, I got my friend who went with me. She sent me an article, and it was one of the skyboxes, the one on the far left. One of the probably multiple layers of glass that are there just completely splintered and shattered while people were in it, and they got really scared. And I don't blame them. I'm sure structurally it was fine, but
Which reminds me.
And then I think about who are the people who built that building? They had to do that.
Yeah.
They had to be like freaking out there.
It's like that times 50 when they're working on the outside of a building, hanging up and just. But I thought of something. I remember how it was. It was some very tall, like over a waterfall or something. So it's just hundreds and hundreds of feet. Fall underneath this bridge, which is all glass. And this is clever as heck. I don't know if you Googled it, you probably could find it. But one of these, I guess, is a screen, like a projection, and it animates a shatter on it. So people walk over, and sometimes it'll like make it show, and it's so funny because they just like sprint and jump and run, and just like it's so funny.
Yeah, that's so.
I mean, rude. It's bad, but it's also funny. The fact that exists is great. Like, it's surprising. So that building, was that the most notable structure built type of a building you've been in? Where it's like, it's special and.
I think it's the second or third tallest building in the world still.
Oh.
So it's definitely up there. I can't think of another one.
I went in the St. Louis Arch. Did you go in there?
I didn't go in there. I went under it, though.
Interesting. It's interesting because I don't know if I'm figuring this right. there's the arch, and then there's an arch underneath the ground. Yeah. So the it's almost like a tram or a train. You know how if you go from skiing and you have it's like a gondola, it's hanging on a wire. It's one of those kind of elevators. So there's several egg-shaped elevators. They're not hanging; they're on a belt, and this essentially goes almost all the way around. It loads at the bottom, and it goes up. I think it goes up both ways. I'm not sure, but it goes up like a circle.
Wow.
And they're hanging so that, as you get up here, then you get over here, and they stay upright as they.
Wow.
But it's a bunch of eggshell little capsules, and I think 2 people can fit in each one. So it's really interesting. And then when you get close to the top, then it's a few steps along the top.
Huh.
And it's really interesting. Wasn't freaky. Just like, but I hadn't thought about how it would work. I mean, I wondered, like, how do you get up there? But I had never guessed, it's a circle underneath the ground, and it's hanging little containers. So that was neat. I'm glad I went in there for that reason.
I always wondered about that. My mom went there, and she told me at one point, but I don't remember how she told me it went. But I wouldn't have guessed a whole loop. I would have thought that would have been too much work.
Yeah, I thought so too. At one part, I remember it's a little weird. If you're by yourself, you have to get in a little elevator, little thing with a stranger sitting right across from him like this. And I was with some girl on the way down or up, and it was funny for some reason. I can't remember.
When was that?
The evidence exists as far as I could look it up. It would have been years ago, but within the past 6.
Oh, okay.
Sure. So I went by myself.
Cool.
Yeah. But St. Louis, though.
Not good.
No, I don't like it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no wonder the Rams left. They went to L.A. and now they're probably going to leave there because L.A. is getting bad too.
Los Angeles?
Yeah, they're not going to leave.
Is that California?
Yeah.
You mean the whole state of California is getting bad, right?
Well, I was thinking L.A. Yeah, a lot of people are leaving California.
Why L.A. specifically are people leaving?
The homeless people are pooping everywhere.
Okay.
That's what I hear. I've never been there. I just hear what people who live there say, and they're like, "Hey, the nightclubs are still really awesome, and it's really I like the rich parts, but everywhere in town it's like poop and people in tents and stuff." So, because they did this weird, like whoever the governor or senator or whatever, they decided that they would stop, like making it illegal for them to sleep on in the parks and whatever, and. So that's just what they do. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. That's just what I hear.
I'm no doctor.
I'm no geologist, but that doesn't rock.
Your facial.
Yeah, we've talked about where we'd go live if we had to move like if we got banished from Kansas, like we said something racist in Kansas, like you can't live here anymore.
Exiled.
Yeah. I think both of us decided.
So much funnier to me.
Yeah.
Why'd you move to Colorado? I was banished.
Yeah. I've been banished.
I don't know why that word's so funny. Anyway, you're telling a story about if you were to move somewhere.
Like, let's say. Okay, Colorado too. You can't move there. I know you'd move there if you got.
Why can't? Why not?
I'm just for exercise sake.
Oh, okay.
Because those are the ones we're most familiar with too.
Uh-huh.
And I'm pretty familiar with South Dakota. You're pretty much South Dakota too, but.
So you're asking me? I got to pick a place for my banishment.
Yeah.
Wyoming.
Wyoming?
Yeah, I guess. Without thinking about it too hard.
Because it's the most Coloradan state aside from Colorado.
Well, I guess it is, but again, what make some more parameters for this decision. That's just kind of what's on my head. Because there's several places I can think of.
I would move probably to. Well, shoot. A couple come to mind. Texas comes to mind. South Dakota.
I knew you were going to say that because that's what I was going to say. There's one reason I wouldn't go there. And it's the humidity and the heat. Other than that, I like it. It's very similar structure and architecture wise. The speed limits are typically faster. Things are more lenient in general, I think, and the people are seemingly nice.
Yeah,
They're not, some of them. Anyway,
And also, that's like the best chance. It's the most libertarian state, which is to me why I like it.
yeah, I think
They're like trying to secede, basically,
yeah,
which is like good
yeah.
or whatever.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe
anyway,
it's not good, but
I it'd be one of my things I think of. Wyoming, it just sounds like a state no one thinks about, like like Kansas. It sounds like that's why I want to do one. Turn it into nothingness.
if I could grow a bigger beard, I'd want to move to Montana and be a woodsman. Wear flannels, hoodie flannels, and then jeans, and that's it. I wear 2 pairs of jeans and several colors of flannel.
Nice.
A huge beard, but I can't grow a huge beard.
Yeah, without thinking about it too hard, it depends on like what are you gonna do for work. How long are you supposed to live there? What are your resources? Like then that kind of determines where you're gonna move. But off the top of my head, Texas, and I don't know why the name Wyoming, because there's a lot of states like that. Ohio is another like forgettable state that no one cares about. So I think about those.
You say that, and one of our listeners is like from Ohio. And
I'm from Ohio.
I love Ohio more than anything. I love it. There's a very strong fantasy in my mind of moving to Montana and growing a huge beard and getting a shepherd dog, and then being rich and building a very very modern nice home in the freaking woods.
Yeah, that'd be
because
awesome.
what I would do is I'd go to the town hard crusted or like
Market.
no bar. I'd go to the bar there, and I'd see a beautiful woman, and she'd be like, "Wow, his beard and his flannel,"
And he's rich.
yeah. Well, she doesn't know that. That's part of the fantasy. She doesn't know.
Okay, sorry.
She thinks I'm just like basically.
She thinks I'm only super handsome.
I throw down whiskeys, but I'm not too many. I'm the only guy there who's behaving. This is my whole fantasy here.
Okay.
I'm the only guy who's
fantasy.
behaving like a respectable adult, but I'm just being quiet. This is the fantasy. I'm not really like this at all. That's why it's funny. And then the girl's interested or whatever, and then I come up to her and I'm like,
you have huge badonkers.
yeah.
I had to do it a third time.
You did. I go up to her and I charm her by very few words because she's just the one talking. And then I think, hey, maybe you'd like to come back to my cabin and I can show you around. And then she's like, I don't have my car. I don't know. Where is it? And that's just in the woods or whatever. And then some reason, I don't know why she'd ever come with a guy who's really quiet and says my house is in the woods. But then she does come, and then she comes to my house. and then
I roll a 20, which means
yes, which means my luck.
which my dexterity for the night is 20.
And then we drive up, and she's like, "This is your house," and then I pretend like it is. Well, I don't even have to pretend because it is. And then we walk in there, and then my dog is really well trained, and she's like, "Wow!" But then she's had I make her dinner, and I'm a good chef in this. And then we eat, and we have a very deep conversation, and she has a little too much wine, and so then I drive her home in my truck respectfully. And I stay at my house, but then she thinks about me forever. That's my fantasy.
What a freaking fantastic fantasy.
Yeah, I know.
That's good news.
Yeah.
No, I was laughing because it's silly, but I can't make fun of you. It's a good fantasy.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
And I give her my flannel, and I warm her up when
she
when
thinks
I put her out
about
her
you,
house.
and she wears it sometimes. She just kind of holds on to it. And
Yeah, in the morning
that one
she-
guy that one time was just so
Yeah, she's wearing the flannel, and the sleeves are too long for her, so she's got them like this
at
and-
best. Yeah,
over here.
fingertips. At
But then
best.
she's got a mug full of coffee in the morning, and it's
and she's not wearing pants.
No, it's just a long. It's covering everything.
Yeah, because it's just so big.
And then she goes to her doorway because it's snowing now. It's Montana. So
Oh,
it's
the
snowing.
fantasy's still going?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
No, this is the
sorry.
next morning.
Okay,
She's still
sorry.
wearing
I thought the fantasy was over. Please
I leave her a
continue.
note and that says, "I hope to see you again sometime," or whatever. I don't know what it says.
I know that. No, I don't know if you caught on, but I was like, the note says, "I hope to see you again sometime," or whatever.
I don't know what it says. That's important. The vibe she gets is that, she goes, "Wow, he's got such good handwriting for such a rustic." Well, then she's still wearing the flannel, and it's snowing really bad, and she can see my truck tracks that drove away because it was snowing last night. That's why I drove her home in the truck. But then she gets coffee, and her hair's in a messy bun, and she's got the no pants, but it goes over her. And then she goes to the door and she leans like this and she takes a sip. She goes,
Looks out wistfully,
yeah.
longingly.
And then she smiles because of something I said.
That's she remembered.
Yeah. And then I'm at home with my dog, not giving an F.
Yep. Correct.
Yep. But she was so beautiful that I kind of a little bit give an F. But it's like, no, the wood life is for me.
The woods.
Yeah. And I'm cutting down a tree so I can build a mantle for my very modern fireplace. I need to replace the other one because I stained it a color that doesn't go with the rest of the house.
I would think about her a tiny little bit because I'd be like, God damn it, she's got my flannel. That's what I'd think about.
I have two more.
Many? Two more.
Yeah.
You get away a third of your clothes.
But that's all I need.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And then I have a person who delivers my food.
Which that's DoorDash showing up in the woods.
Instacart. But then one day, a while later, it's snowing in a blizzard, and then I'm there, and then she's on the side of the road, and I save her again. And then she's like, I can't believe that. I never thought I'd see you again. And then I give her a ring that I hand forged from the metal that I harvested from the creek. I panned gold, and then I melted it down and I created a ring and I made it for her. And it doesn't look the best, but it is homemade and it fits her perfectly. And then she marries me and we have kids. And we all live in Montana. And there's more. I don't know.
That's a funny idea for a gag or a bit. Like you tell a story, and then whenever they think it's something, you go, and there's more. And you keep doing it, but it's on you to improvise and keep going. But like they can't they'll hit you a little bit, but it's entertaining too. You get to a conclusion, and there's more.
And then a group of woodsmen who are jealous of me for taking the most beautiful girl in town
out of the bar. Yeah, she's gone.
The bar people. They track me down, and they're hunting her down. They're creeping on.
They
her.
recognize your tire tracks because the night you left the bar the first time, it was starting to snow.
Yep.
And they saw them on the side of the road near the bar where you picked her up the other day. It's like, it's the tire
they
tracks.
saw. We went fly fishing at one of the many salmon creeks or whatever, and her and I were laughing, having a good time, and they were jealous. They had binoculars. They were looking at us. They're like, "Damn it, he's got our girl, and we're gonna mess them up." And so they follow us back to the house, and my dog's going crazy and barking. And so I get my shotgun out, and when I shoot them all and I fight them all off, but then I hear, "Oh," and I go, and I look over and my dog is laying there dead, but there's a dead guy there too. And the dog threw it out, but it got shot and it's dying. And I'm like, no. And then half the guys got away. They didn't all die. Half of them get away. And then they take my wife and kids.
Of course.
And then my dog dies as I'm holding it and I'm crying. And then I John Wick their asses. I get
the guys, not your wife and kids.
No. And I use my woodsman knowledge because there's a bunch of windy roads, and I get an axe because my shotgun's out of bullets. And I take my axe and I go meet them where the truck is going to be, and I stand out in the middle of the road where the car's coming, and they see me at their headlights. They turn around a corner and they see me with the axe, and they swerve and they hit a tree, and I go there and I pull the main guy out of the car, and the other two guys, there's three of them that lived. And then my family's in the back and they're tied up. But I pull the main guy out with the axe, and I put my foot on his head like this, and I hold it up like this, and his eyes meet mine. And then I just say, "Don't ever let me see you here again." And I cut his leg off, and then he limps away and he's screaming. And then I go back and I take the ties off my family, and I say, "Let's go home." And then we get there and we bury my dog, Bud. His name's Bud. And then we get a puppy. But Bud is he's the best dog. And he died. or he's gonna die when all this happens.
My fantasy is that he's going to die.
This is all part of my happy fantasy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then I build a cabin on my 2,000 acres for my parents, and they live there too, and then her family too, whatever. Then we create a new community, and I'm regarded as like the most important man in Montana, and so they elect me the governor.
The governor of the woods or whatever. That's what it's called.
And then I'm the governor of Montana, and then I have to get involved in politics, but I'm just a man of the world, of nature.
Woods, yeah.
A woodsman. And because my heart is so pure, I really stand out amongst the rest of the
constituents.
Yes. And so my name quickly reaches Washington. Okay. And then everyone's like, this guy is something. And then he's not.
And then word reaches DC.
Yeah.
Because it went from Montana, like a state, over to Washington, and then word spread to DC.
Yep. And it gets to DC, and then and they're thinking, we can't have this guy get here because he's not being bought out by any of the corporate interests. We don't want that here. And I don't want a life of politics, but I feel like I have to because the people.
They need you.
They need me. Mm-hmm. So the vice president comes up to me and says, you need to run against the president because he's corrupt. but I won't do it. And then foreign enemies bomb the White House. And they need a leader, and kill everybody in the cabinet. And I'm the only one left. And so I become, by virtue of authority transfer, I become the president of the United States. And I become the best president who ever lived. And I take America from its dark days and teach people about how to be good, and how to, now they're not bad anymore. Because my pure heart. So, and then I take us to the space age, and our foreign relations are great. Okay, so I'm only 40, by the way.
Okay,
in this. Yeah, my kids are like, they're like, Dad. Anyway.
That's my favorite part of the story. My kids are like, Dad. Anyway.
Oh man,
I've withheld interjecting and adding my own steps in the story. This is your story. I want to ruin
it's my fantasy.
It's your story. This is great.
I become the best president of the United States, and I change the culture back to. There's a nice mix of tradition, but also really good core values, and we move forward as a world and a nation. Okay. And then I die because there's a group of nihilist bad guys, and they don't believe in good. And they come.
They never do.
They come to the White House, and they hold up. There's a guy who's running against me, and he wants to beat me or whatever. But everybody knows I'm gonna win, and this guy doesn't have a chance. But he's trying anyway, and so I kind of like him or whatever. Even though, because I don't really care about being the president. I'm just doing that for whatever, and they want me to run again. Okay. So these people come to the White House, and they start shooting everybody. And they go into I'm by myself, but then I hear gunshots, and I look out to see what's happening, and I see my political adversary. And the gun is pointed towards that guy. And so I jump in the way of the bullet. And I take the bullet, and just in time, the Secret Service comes and takes care of those guys. And
they're gonna say just in time, Secret Service security guy comes in and
jumps in front of me.
Takes. That's funny.
Yeah.
No. I think it's been done, but I've never seen it before. No. Yeah. But no, just in time, he runs in and takes photos of me getting shot, taking that bullet, so I look like a hero.
No. It's not about that.
Yeah, no, it's not. That's why
nobody saw it except for the guy the Secret Service agent, the bad guy, and then the political adversary.
Yeah, right. Obviously.
Well, and I'm on the ground and I'm dying. And the guy and the political adversary comes up to me and says, "No, not like this." But I say, "It's okay. My time is up." And then I take my last breath and I'm writing a note too for my family. At the same time.
I'm imagining the way you just pantomimed it. You're talking like this to him, and you're also writing something else up here without looking at it. Doing two things at once. My time is up. Miss you, and I'll see you next. And then just stupid.
And then I die, and then I'm finishing it. Well, anyway, and then he becomes a less good leader, but he does a good job, and that
the world is even more unified because of your selflessness, and you made him a better person.
Obviously. Yeah. So, and then my kids do the same stuff I did. They're all good too. They're all good people. Okay. That's really it, man. That's what it's all about. That's my fantasy. I've been thinking about all of this for a long time. What's your fantasy?
Well, there's more. See, my oldest son, he just wants to run fast food. That's his passion.
Oh, gosh.
No, I'm not going to do that for you. What's my fantasy? You want me to make it a fantasy now?
I'm just saying I had a really good one that makes a lot of coherent sense and is totally achievable. I just think that you should have one too.
All right. Well, I think though, if I make a fantasy, I'll reveal myself to be a much more selfish person than you. All right. So my fantasy is that I'm 6 years old now. This is how it is now.
You get to start over.
Nope, I'm 6 years old now. It's 2021 and I'm 6 years old.
So you were born 6 years ago?
Nope. I am 21 years old in a 6-year-old body. I'm 6 now. My body is 6, but I am actually 29. That's my fantasy, okay? You can't tell me how it works. It's a fantasy.
Okay.
So now I'm basically a genius 6-year-old, and I go through life through the education system, being intelligent for my age of 6, but
all of your teachers are like, "What? This kid he's solving problems that I've never seen."
No. They've seen these problems. It's just a 6-year-old
solved them.
No, I'm not a genius. I'm just smart for 6. Like
this isn't a very good fantasy so far.
It's freaking amazing.
Okay, I'll see where it goes.
I'm telling a story.
I'm smart for a 6-year-old, and from 6 through 18, I'm doing the school system like a normal 6-year-old. Because as far as anybody knows, I'm 6 years old, but I'm actually smart. Or I'm actually 29. I'm not actually smart. I'm just a normal person. So I do good, but I actually try to learn stuff through that time, and I get some accelerated learning by the time I'm 18, before high school's over. I graduate high school early. I graduate at like 15.
Oh yeah, I know.
Graduate, you know that.
I already know you.
Yeah, obviously that's how this fantasy goes. By 15, I've broken records for things because I can. I've created stuff.
What have you created?
I'm glad you asked, because in my fantasy, I've created. What is it? It's essentially a way more efficient way of wrapping prepackaged foods.
Okay.
So what the machines do is they vacuum form and they drop it. But what I do basically, or what I propose, is just an idea. And then they were like, of course. Because they obviously everybody heard about this. Well, not everybody. A lot of people heard about this kid who's like graduating early. He seems to know
Everybody
stuff.
knows this kid.
I'm not a genius. He just knows stuff. I know stuff. I'm talking from third person. Anyway, I said, why don't you just you're wrapping Twinkies and nobody wants to unwrap them. Why don't you just put the Twinkies in the box? They're not going to go bad anyway. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're right. So they save millions of dollars and I get royalties. And so I make a lot of money from my ideas because I'm right. And so by the time I'm 15, I buy my own house here in Kansas. And by 15, I mean, I'm actually like 38 right now. Whatever.
Okay. In a 15-year-old's body.
Yes. And how long is this fantasy going to go? Because I could keep going. I just don't want to be annoying.
It's just your fantasy, dude.
That's such a true burden. It's like the power is mine to be as annoying as I want.
Yep.
It's only fair. All right. So I'm trying to decide how much suffering I should make you do.
As much as I made you do.
That's fair, but that doesn't mean I have to because I am nice. So we'll see.
Okay.
I'll go get more because there's more to this fantasy.
I know. I can tell.
Yeah, I can see it.
There's a lot of places.
Yeah. Well, I don't go a lot of places. I stay in my small little world of Kansas up until I'm 15. I get a little house of my own and I graduate. And then I decide that I am going to go to a special school after 15 to learn because I'm intelligent as a 15-year-old. I excelled at everything and I
remember that part.
Yeah. It's good because that's an important detail. By 15, I'm smart.
It's probably going to come into play later, right?
No, because after that,
Okay.
I decided to go to special school for smart people, and I go through it for like 3 years. And for some reason, I'm attractive as a 15-year-old, and all the girls want to take me out to go shopping. And I'm like, I don't want to shop for anything because I don't need possessions. And they go, but you would look so good wearing this. And I was like, no, I want to put time in my school. So I stay up late, study at a college. I'm trying to do 4 years to learn something to where I can get a degree where I want a job where I don't have to do any work or just use my smarts for 4 years. So my plan is by 19, I'll have a job that pays me to work from home and do basically nothing because I know things. My job is to know things. So it sucks. But I can do it. I'm doing it. I keep to myself, and nobody knows that I exist. And I'm 19 years old now, aka 42, if my math is right. So I'm 42 years old, but I'm also in this fantasy. I'm also 19 years old. I might have those numbers wrong.
I know it. I know you are. Okay.
And then it finally happens.
What?
Aliens.
No.
Yeah. Don't you remember that?
I had no idea.
Aliens. All that school I did was for nothing because they just totally destroyed our infrastructure between countries. It gets rebuilt in like 3 months, so it's not that bad. But high-paying jobs don't really exist anymore, and all that work I did was for nothing. But girls still want to go out with me.
Yeah. You're high in the... Yeah.
Yeah, they still want to go out with me. And I still don't want to because I have a house. I get paid to do nothing. And I just stay at my place and play video games all the time. Yep. So basically my plan, my fantasy is to do exactly what I'm doing right now.
I was like...
but I'm 19 years old.
Oh, okay. my one fantasy
I
is
wish
to
I
do
thought I had
nothing
to
different.
begin with. Like, I'm going to make this story come all the way back. I'm 29 years old, and I'm right here, or something like that. I should come up with a story like that just to make that as like a long joke. That's a funny idea.
Yeah, it is.
Make somehow the story it ends up back at the very beginning. Like, I listened to all that for nothing.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty funny.
I thought you were gonna go along the same vein as me, like make the most grandiose.
I thought about it. I was like, I can't do that. That's too predictable, and like, I want something stupid to happen. And I just started to make it dumb, and like go back to the beginning really quick. And
Yeah. It was pretty meta.
it kind of was.
Yeah,
your story was obviously better and way more entertaining.
It's true too. It's my real fantasy.
I was doing it for the joke.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm glad we got to think about our fantasies.
Do you want to go to IHOP with me? Even just to be there with me or whatever in my time of need.
Be with her.
Wait, let me check about this.
Oh, right. If you have a girl, then I won't be the girl.
I don't.
To be with her. What's his name? Paul Giamatti. I was watching a documentary, serial killer one, and I was like, I recognize that voice, the narrator. And then I went, that's Paul Giamatti. And I looked it up. It is. Paul Giamatti is narrating it, yes. Anyway, how about I don't make the decision now? People can just assume in this reality that you get an attractive girl to go instead.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll discuss it off camera, if you know what I mean.
I think I do.
With the eyes.
I'm doing this with my...
Let's decide it now because, well, you're hungry and I'm hungry.
All right. End the show.
Well, everybody, I'm so glad that y'all decided to be listeners because, as you heard, we did change the world today. Big things happened. First, it started with Zach talking about Dungeons and Dragons, but then we concluded. Anyway, we will see you guys next time. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, and also before we go, I just really wanted to say,
He's gonna do it. He's gonna cut it early.
I just really have a lot to say. I think it'd be great to have. If I thought it'd be really funny if I just like made you end the show, but then I like went on a really long eulogy.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, bye guys.
All right, bye.